Just gotta go ahead and fire, go get that bag. I pray to God I have a blessed day. Waking big is the only way.
What's good, y'all? How y'all doing, man? I'm still in the truck, man. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, all that good stuff. It's been a minute. I'm sorry. I apologize. I apologize for those, who supports me, things like that. I've been in my bag, just me personally. Those that don't know, I lost my dad last year, and then, it's just been a heavy task, and at a point in your life, you start to get overwhelming when you lose a loved one, and and you gotta like think, so I needed a lot of time, to do that. But I'm still here. I'm still gonna be making videos. I'm gonna spice things up like I intended to. I'm gonna talk about how much that I made, gross and net of last year. You know what I mean? So I'm going off of my CPA, what I use, which is ATBS. No, I'm not sponsored by them and nothing like that, but I do advise, using them. They have great benefits for us truck drivers, business owners, and things like that. They have been treating me well, and hey, start looking into their their program. If you with them for a year, right? For a whole year, say like you started from December 2025 all the way, to to December 2026, I believe they won't charge you to file taxes that following year. So if you started like June, in the middle of June, you're gonna have to pay anyway, even though you pay weekly. So I pay I'm around up $24 a week to use their services, things like that. The app is pretty cool. You just take a pictures of your receipts, and the receipts of what you will want to take pictures of is like equipment, anything entertainment, anything that entertains you. Food, they have the per diem down pack. I believe it's like $400 a week, which is crazy, but it's good. It helps you out. It's a lot of tax deductions. We can get into it. For those that want to know, I'm gonna put my Discord down there where people could honestly message me. I'm very responsive, so I could do that. I've updated a lot of things that I also got planned for 2026. But let's go ahead and look into it. What I've made for the year. So, all right, we're gonna go profit. All right, so we're gonna go for revenue. Total revenue of what I've made for the year, okay, is $239,673. Okay, profit of what I've taken home, put in my pockets, was $88,545. Okay. Now, some of y'all be like, damn, you spent all that money on this, on that, Got you. You know what I mean? Because you do got to spend fuel, things of that nature, So we're gonna break it down, okay? The reason why I came down to 88,000. This ain't rocket science. You can make that as a company driver. Sure you can. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure you can. But just remember, when you doing this, the benefit of tax deduction, all right? So you won't get hit as hard on tax time. You will receive either more money or you get some money back. Okay, so that's the deal here. Okay, I'm not gonna make this like damn man, I know I should have this, that, and the third, whatever. At the end of the day, the goal is to be on operator, right? The goal here is, at least my goal. I don't know nobody else. The goal here is learn the system, learn how it's operated, and when you in this position, when you own your own truck and your trailer, you know what I mean, you would do the same thing, basically. You know, some people might want to take more in their pocket at the same time. No matter what, you're going to want to do the same thing, okay? People is looking at the numbers and be saying, man, nah, man, I need to take $150,000 out of my pocket. Cool, that's fine. If that's what you want to do, cool. There's not a problem with that. But just know you got to have your numbers look right, you know what I mean, and things like that. So that's another thing why I like ATBS, because it's teaching me. I'm gaining the knowledge of how you will want to break down everything that's needed, okay? And it's very understandable. So for the fuel for the year that I spent was $71,620. Okay, so out of that $239,000 and change, yeah, that's how much was taken out of that, right? Then the fuel tax was like $1,400, $74. Then the maintenance and repairs, $28,085. Okay, that's throughout the whole year. All right, you know, we had a couple breakdowns on the old truck that we had, and then, you know, the PMs, you know, tires, you know, all of that adds up, and that's what caught up to 28. Now, also within that is my maintenance account, your 20 cents per mile. Okay, that builds up, and that's included in that too. All right, so all of that. The tolls, they do have to fix that. I did tell ATBS, I said I spent way more than $115, you know, so they're gonna revamp everything and look through it all and see, like, yeah, I spent probably like $3-4 grand, you know what I mean, and tolls throughout the year. Supplies, you know, now when it comes to supplies, it'd be like boots, clothes, you know what I mean, you know, anything that need to clean your truck, towels, whatever, you know. That's came up to $7,452. Traveling login, like, you know, I remember I booked a hotel and I scanned the receipt, which was $237 for the week that I stayed out at this particular hotel. Miscellaneous, I can't tell you what I paid for. Oh, it was a parking. Okay, I had to pay cash, you know, at this parking, whatever. So total variable expenses was $109.02. You know, so like I said, at that $239, you take that, boom, now you got $139,000. Then you take the 80. Then I'm gonna show you what's the other portion of what was taken out. Okay, this is where it gets like, damn. If I didn't have all this overhead, you know, more money would have been in my pocket. Okay. So we're gonna go to see what else? What else do we have? Fixed variables. So truck payment throughout the year was $23,250. It's coming out of that $239,000. Okay. Then you got the trailer payment, $11,475. Insurance, $4,145. Physical damage, that's, you know, that's the insurance for that. Bobtail insurance, $451 for the year. Insurance, workers comp, you know, that's $2,342. You know, I got that. Phone internet, we got to change that. It's not $35 for the whole year. Communication services, oh, they probably did change it or added to it, you know, with my stuff. But I'm gonna verify everything once I get my my 1099, which is $1,806. License and permits. So the permits is basically like if I had oversized loads, overweight loads, you know, boom, whatever I paid. That's $3,138. The HUT sticker, $540 for the year. Professional service, I mean, I really don't know what that one is. Professional service, I just think they just add as a category, but I think that's included in the maintenance. But anyway, total fixed expenses, $48,200. $276, okay, for the year. But the total expenses that I've spent was $157,278, okay. So that right there would tell you, damn, out of that $239,000, you know, you only took 88. Of course, if you have a truck payment, if you got a trailer payment, insurance, you know, there you go. Now, the question is it worth it? Is it worth it for you to do lease purchase? You know, are you just only looking for the money? You know, it's understandable. That you just want to go ahead and just chase the bag. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But I suggest that you learn the game so you're not out here messed up. You got all this money, you splurging, you doing whatever you're doing, whatever the case may be, and you know, you're not making sure and showing yourself, where am I progressing at? You know, where am I going wrong? You know what I mean? And you want to know where your money going, how's it going, and you want a tax deduction. You know what I mean? The more deductions, you know, the better. You know, so that's where we at. And yeah, man, stay tuned for some more videos. I'm getting back in motion with it. The drone going back up in the air. You know what I mean? Hopefully I see some of you guys. If you see me, you know, I don't mind. You know, we could take a flick, we could take a picture, you know what I mean, and put y'all in my videos, you know, of course underneath y'all consent, you know. Other than that, man, I'm still here rolling. Last week, because today's Tuesday, last week I sprained my ankle. So yeah, I sprained my ankle, man, and it was horrible. I sprained my ankle. I think it was Wednesday. I was unloading coils, and me thinking I'm young, 25, I'm hopping off the trailer, you know, jumping on there. It might not look like it, but I'm a big dude. But at the end of the day, you know, I move. And here I go. I went ahead, I got crutches, you know what I mean? So all I know is Wednesday, boom, Thursday morning, got the law. I was limping. I was like, dang, I must have, you know, my foot might be asleep. That's what my head. Anyway, I got the low, boom, tied it down. Then I drove all day. All day I drove. When I drove and I got to North Carolina, my foot was like, yo, I don't know what you're doing to me, but I'm hurting. And I couldn't even walk on. I couldn't stand on it, you know, like it was hurting so bad. So I didn't have as, you know, things that I needed. So I called for DoorDash, you know, to bring me Tiger Balm, bring me some ibuprofen. And, you know, I took 800 milligrams that night. I woke up the next morning, it wasn't enough, man. I couldn't even get out my truck to go ahead and you know, take my load off. I had the workers there to take their portion of the load because it was a 2-stop. And they helped me out, you know, thanks to them, shout out to them. And I just went straight to the urgent care because first, like I said, I paid for the workers' comp. So I called up and I said, hey, I'm hurting, you know, I don't know what I did. So they told me what to do. They told me to go to the urgent care. I went to the urgent care that was nearby. Okay, I went there and urgent care said, hey, we can't do nothing with you right now because you can't even walk. And I couldn't walk. Like, I had to hop to the Uber. I had my bag just in case if I was really going to the hospital, you know, I got my stuff with me. And I went to the hospital. When I went to the hospital, they did, you know, sonogram to make sure I had no blood clots. Then they did the x-ray, make sure I had no broken bone. And they just said, hey, man, you just sprained your ankle. You know, so I'm like, dang, man, this is in pain. So they just wrapped me up and gave me crutches and 1,000 milligram Tylenol. That's it. So it was a good thing. This was the weekend that, you know, the hurricane had came. So I was in North Carolina, you know, down south, you know, everything shuts down. So I was cool with that, you know, and I delivered the load Tuesday because Monday they wasn't open. So Tuesday I delivered the load. And I mean, I had a good 4-day weekend, so I had enough time to heal a little bit. It's my foot still hurts, you know, but it was enough for me to do what I needed to do today and things like that. Today was a challenge. I had got me some lumber. That's why I met that gentleman today. Shout out to the drivers that see me, you know, that noticed me, and I really appreciate y'all, you know, and you guys been telling me, man, why y'all make no more videos? You know, like I said, I've been in my, you know, my own zone. I just need a little break, you know, just going through personal things, you know. I'm getting it through, you know what I mean? I'm working things out. You know, my father left a business behind, and I just picking up the pieces, picking up the slack. So don't worry, like, you know what I mean? We back in action, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna do what it do. But shout out to you drivers that noticed me, you know, and said what's up to me. You know, I'm not no stranger, nothing like that, to be, you know, acting all weird and all of that stuff like that. When you see me in person, I'm good vibes, great vibes. You know what I mean? Don't matter what you are, don't matter who you are. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you're a person. So, you know, just say what's up to me. You know what I mean? Like, you know. Other than that, I want to start doing more than just trucking videos. I want to start giving some business advice, you know, and within this, you know, because we all need that. We all need some type of guidance, you know. We all think we know what we're doing, and we all thinking that, all right, yeah, trucking making me some money, but you're just blowing this money and don't know what, you know, what you should be doing with it. You know what I mean? Type thing. But yeah, I just want to wrap this video up. I don't want to be too long on this video. Just let y'all know that I'm still here. You know, I'm doing what it do, baby. I'm still doing it. Still doing the goddamn damn thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here doing what's best. And yeah, that's pretty much it, man. So stay tuned for some more videos, because we out here, and peace, love, and happiness.